Oh,
Anywhere you want.
wherever you want. I'm just gonna.
These are
I'm
the
gonna go.
Gallery
I have to go over
5.
to that side too. So.
We're doing the Gallery 5 Artist Talk. It's Saturday, November 15th, and welcome. And our first artist up is Maryanne Malecki, the painter extraordinaire.
So I thought we would start our November Grateful for Art discussion with the gourd of the season. Everybody should have a gourd for the holidays. There's three pieces that I have here, and it's been interesting because in the last couple of days people have been talking to me about very differently about all three pieces. They've reacted very differently. So I'll start with this one. This is one of the beginning of this piece was a rarity because I never go from a full-blown sketch or a drawing and then do a painting of something of the same thing. But this pumpkin and I met in a drawing class, and so everybody else sort of ignored the pumpkin, thinking that it was just, you know, your standard gourd. And but I really liked the stem, and I really liked the vine that was hanging off of the stem. So I did a sketch for it. I did the drawing as required in the class, and I develop relationships with my vegetables, produce. So it happens, and so after a couple of weeks, it became evident that this vegetable was going to stay there, and so I took him home with me, and so then he became the the focus of this particular piece. In my little bio or artist statement in the program, it says talking about line and color, and really, and you can see right here, this is the reason that I loved this, because I mean, yes, it's a gourd, yes, it's a pumpkin, but look at the sweep of this stem. I did not, I mean, this is what this is not an editorial, you know, statement type of thing. The other thing about this, I mentioned this being in a class. A friend of mine was in the class, and she said to me, you know, you always do a lot of gourds. And she goes, another gourd, okay, fine. So I felt really intimidated. This is the first time this piece has been exhibited, even though I like it a lot, because I felt really intimidated, and you know, you get, but Yo-Yo Kasama, and she has pumpkins, and if you know Kasama's work, she does a lot of pumpkins, and I said, you know what, this pumpkin belongs on a wall, so this is a good thing. Somebody else asked me about the background of this, and I don't know if you can see this on the video here, but it's kind of like etched into the paint, and one of the artists who was here last night said to me that was a thing that was an addition to the painting that just sort of really struck him, because there was the flight of the stem and the vine, and then there was this grid-like thing, and I was telling him that it was a plastic fork that was sitting next to the easel as I was painting, and so I just sort of did this, and I figured, how bad could it be? It's paint, you know, if I don't like it, you just paint all over it, but I kind of like the way that it worked out, so so anyway, so this is this paint. This, by the way, this one is called Twisted, for obvious reasons. This one is called Hot Stuff, and again, it's kind of, to me, obvious, because I don't know if you can see what these peaches are sitting on, but it's a stove, right? It's an electric range, and I just kind of liked the shadows, and this is what happens when you unpack your things in the kitchen, and you all of a sudden are packing, you unpack your fruit or your vegetables in the kitchen, and you put them down, and you go, oh my God, I really like this. So yeah, that's exactly what happened. So again, this was work from a photograph, so I took a photograph of this because obviously these peaches were not going to last long enough for me to paint. But again, another couple of people said to me about this piece that they really wanted to touch it because they wondered if it was fuzzy. And it's not fuzzy. It's not, you know, there's no texture thing. But again, what I really liked about this, you can see, I really like circles. I really like orange. I really like this color palette. And I liked the juxtaposition of the shadows and the light that was playing on the top of the stove, the glass top stove. And it just kind of seemed to work against the peaches. So again, I mentioned that this one started out being a sketch, a drawing on charcoal and pencil and things. And I didn't, that one I put that away, and then this was a separate piece. But the question was, again, is always, well, do you work from a sketch? No, I'll work from a photograph, for instance, or a live thing. But what I will do is I sketch on the canvas. So these are oils, and so is the third one that we'll talk about. It's an oil. But what I do is I do one of two things. I may do a wash of light acrylic, like a burnt umber, type of thing, to sort of just give it like a beige type of background. But then, or it might be white, but usually if I do with beige or sort of a light gray, like a taupey gray, it works better for me in terms of an undercoat. But then I'll take the acrylic paint and I will do my sketches with the acrylic paint. And just to, for layout and line and all of that type of thing. And in this one, you can see the line of the burners, and so it was important to get all of those things together. The nice thing about using acrylic on canvas, and because you're going to paint on top with oil, you can do oil on top of acrylic. You can't do acrylic on top of oil. But the nice thing about doing acrylic is, if you make a mistake, you just wet your cloth and smush it all over, and you start all over again. And it just adds to the background, to the back layer of the canvas. So that's how this particular piece was done. That's how this particular piece was done. The key also is, like for instance with this, the key also is you want to make sure you get the entire stem in. You want to make sure you get the entire the vine in. And again, it's placement, so it may be trial and error a little bit, but that's sort of how that all works out. Before we move on, are there any questions about these?
Yeah, how did you get it to look fuzzy?
Like fuzzy? It's a combination of brush strokes and the usually when I'm painting, I usually double, triple, quadruple load my brush, so it's usually got several different colors on it. And so what you're probably reacting to is a darker color and a lighter color. So you have some depth that comes in, and that's how it happens. But there's a friend of mine who's the director of the Bottle Museum, the gallery space at the Bottle Museum in Ballston Spa, and this was last there, and he said, I keep wanting to go and touch it, and pet it.
Yeah.
I said, yes, I frequently pet my produce, and and it's just like you hug your pumpkin and this type of thing. So yeah, that's how that was kind of done. Yeah.
Wow.
So
I like your red.
Oh, thank you. Oh, we'll talk about this later. This is a little funky too. So, okay, we're going to go over to this third piece over here because this is completely different.
Oh, yes.
So this is the third piece that's here, and those two are older. Those were done when I was still intimidated by somebody intimidating me about painting gourds and produce. And this one I did in the spring. This past spring. I have a thing with friends of mine or people that I tend to paint, not with portraits, but with full body things. I'm not talking nudes, but like something that you can identify a person by. So I always tell them, look, let me just play around and paint, and I won't ever exhibit. There's a person under here. So this one is called Midsummer, and there was another one. There was a companion piece called Late Summer, and they were both people. They were both I guess you'd call them portraits, but it was like a full body thing. And so when I start with something like this, so this already it was a canvas. It was a painted canvas, and so when I do something different with it, it takes me a while. We were talking about this last night. I actually have to start painting and begin to see it differently, begin to see it in color blocks, the original painting in color blocks. and then turn it around and turn it around and turn it around. You know, so this started out being this way and now it's this way. But you could also hang this different way if you wanted to. But I don't, because then if I do that, then I see the under in my brain. So in order to start doing something like this, so I'll paint something very different, and then I leave it for a couple of weeks. Why? Because I have to stop seeing what the original was until this now is the piece. It's no longer there's no longer the person and the tree or whatever else there is under. It sounds kind of crazy, but it really is what happens. So I really like the way Rudy hung these things together, because I think that the sunflowers really pick up on these like wormy kind of things that are going on over here. And this space over here sort of reminded me, as I was painting, reminded me of koi, you know, going through, you know, a pond or something. And there's usually some sort of like floral motif, which is kind of, you know, you sort of get that in the top here. And this is almost like an aquatic thing, maybe. But I like this piece because it's not what it started out to be. It was just very different. And again, you know, it's one of those things, anybody who paints, I shouldn't say anybody who does this, but it's my experience with people who paint abstract as well as representational. Abstract is always harder because you don't know when you're done. With representational, you know it's done. It's like you have this down, okay, fine, step away from the painting because you're going to overdo it, and we've all overdone it. But in something that's abstract, you don't really know when it's going to be finished, because you don't have a preconceived. Abstract things sort of take a life on its own, just like every painting, I think, takes a life of its own. It starts out being what you think it's going to be, and then it decides what it wants to be, just like those peaches decided they wanted to be very fuzzy. They just decide what they want to do. And this decided, so when I was painting this, I was going to go further, and all of a sudden I put that dark violet purple in there. And when I work with a dark color, like a blackish kind of thing, I'll always like add purple or ultramarine blue, because it makes black darker. It makes black blacker. I don't know if you know what but it does that. Stephen's shaking his head. Yeah, it's true. It does. Yeah. And one of the other things about doing blacks is also you can do that one. Actually, the one with the peaches actually had black in it. Any black that you see in the pumpkin one is probably ultramarine blue and burnt umber combination of it. So you can get some really interesting grays and blacks with that combination. So in this one, as soon as I added that deep purple with black to it, and I just stepped away from it, and in fact, I had someone staying with me at the house at the time, and I said, it's the David Letterman thing, is this anything? And we decided, yeah, it was something just the way that it was, so I decided to leave it. And so this painting decided it was done. And so again, I had to step away from the painting. So, any questions about this? So I've gotten, do you have a question? Yes, no? Okay. So I've gotten my 5-minute warning, and I think I'm done. So, okay.
Thanks,
Thank
Maryanne.
you.